Right, okay then. So just to introduce this evening then, guys, for people listening and watching, we're A Company, not ACF, the Rifle Company, and we're looking to do a bit of a leadership seminar with the RSM of Frimley Park. We've got some of our senior cadets, some of our junior NCOs in the chat. We're just basically going to have a discussion on leadership and specifically how cadets can lead now in the virtual ACF. So to start with, a quick introduction. My name is Second Lieutenant Emery. I'm one of the officers in A Company. But one of the most important guests this evening is the RSM of Frimley Park. I'm just going to give you a few minutes, RSM, just to tell us about yourself, your ACF story, and then we'll...
Yeah, good evening. I hope you're all well. RSM Lightfoot from Frimley Park. I've been in the post now around about just coming up 3 years, which is really good. I've enjoyed it absolutely from beginning to end at CTC Frimley Park. So my story myself, I was a cadet many years ago, 13 years ago. I was 13 when I joined Cadets. I'd been through a little bit of a rough patch in there, the sort of family dynamics. From there, met with the wrong crowd, mixing with the wrong people, doing the wrong thing. From there, unfortunately, not proud of it one bit. I got arrested, the wrong place with the wrong crowd once again. And then therefrom, my mum turned around and said to me, right, let's do something about this. You're going to Cadets. So she wheeled me down to the local cadet centre in Scarborough, pushing me, kicking, screaming, saying I'm not doing this. And all of a sudden I arrived there and I was a completely different person. From the first night I started at Cadets, absolutely phenomenal. Completely changed the way I thought and how I did business. I mention it to people now. I can see myself on the crossroads, the Y junction, and I can take the wrong path or the right path. And that is where I was stood when I walked into that detachment. And luckily enough, and righteously so, I took the right path and stayed with Cadets. It taught me leadership, discipline. It taught me everything I was missing from home, and it just gave me an alternative family. People mixing with my peers, people older, people younger, just looking after each other exactly as it is today. 28 years, and I know people have been in a lot longer, 40 years, 50 years. Some people that I talk to about the cadet world, and it's exactly the same. It's the same stories, just separated by time. So I did Cadets for a few years, and then I joined the Army at 18, and then from there on I've never looked back really. And I use the Cadet Force even to this day as the foundation stone of my military career. It's taught me everything I know and I need to know to step into the armed forces, and it's been absolutely phenomenal for me. And I'm 24 years down the line, and I'm due to finish in around about 23 days. In the armed forces, and that's me going to be complete. So that's me going to be done. So that's my whistle top tour. I've been an instructor, I've been a platoon sergeant, I've been a trainer, but by far the best job I've had in the army is working with the Cadet Force, and I couldn't thought of anything better when I was filling in my posting preference and I saw the Cadet Centre come up, and I thought, yeah, this is for me. I started as a cadet and I'm going to finish as a cadet. And lucky enough, absolutely, to be the RSM of the National Cadet Training Centre. Absolutely phenomenal. I wouldn't change it for the world right now. And I will be sad to leave.
We'll have you back, whatever way. And we'll come on to that later with a bit of a question. So just to start with, a bit of an introduction from some of our cadets. So if Corporal Nola, would you like to start, introduce yourself, where you're from, quickly?
Hi, I'm Corporal Adenola. I'm from Shield Detachment. I've been a cadet for over 2 years and I just really enjoy cadets, to be honest. I really wanted to see this opportunity to meet the RSM of Frimley Park and just see what I can do out there, how to be a leader.
Awesome, thank you. Corporal Sanka, quickly.
So I'm from... Yeah?
Yeah? Yeah, I can see how
I'm from Shield Detachment as well. I think I've been in cadets around 3 years now. And I've started off as a little kid that was always scared of I think cadets just started off as something just fun and really fun all the time, and then it got really serious when Adenola came in. Me and Adenola know each other from school as well, so we made friends from school and then decided to do it as well together. And I think cadets like just brought us closer as a friendship, didn't it, really? And it just took us away from like other things, really, from like school, as our school isn't like the best area or like people I've known from there. So like it got us off the streets a bit, didn't it? And it just got us something to do, really. So yeah.
Good. Still enjoying it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Called Bunyan.
Hi, I'm Cadet Bunyan from West Detachment A Company. I've been in cadets about 5 years in June. I've done virtually everything there is to do as cadet, apart from SCI, CTC Master Cadet, which I look forward to doing in the future before I leave. I joined cadets because I was torn between joining the police force and joining military when I was kind of 12. I had Captain Everton, an adult in not ACF, coming to our school, did an assembly, and went to one of the sessions afterwards. And I liked it, so I joined up. And now I'm torn between joining the Marines as an officer and joining the Power as an officer. Can't quite work out which regiment I want to join, but yeah. So cadets have given me lots of life skills. Yeah, I'm now a 4-star. I've done CCAT courses and 3 of those. Those national events, national sports events. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to my last year now in cadets before I leave. Hopefully join up as an officer in either Powers or Marines.
Brilliant.
You'll get a lot out of this discussion then, especially with the RSM.
Yeah, that's what leadership's a key part. Like, Santos's motto is something like serve to lead. So I think
Very good motto, yeah. It is, yeah. Serve to lead.
There's lots to learn. So knowledge is power. So always the ears open. Any advice?
Excellent. Miss Yakimova, quickly introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cadet Yakimova from Riddington, and I joined cadets about a year and a half ago. I've not been long that in, but absolutely one of the best things I've ever gotten to do. I joined like really randomly. My brother got me into it, and I didn't think I was going to stick with it. I was like, not really my crowd, but ended up absolutely loving it and wouldn't change it for the world.
Excellent. Called Doug Price. Quickly introduce yourself.
Right, yeah. I'm Corporal Darkin Price. I've been in cadets for 3 years. Yeah, I didn't really have a reason to join. I just joined because I was bored. It's definitely been one of the best things I've done with my life. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, good. Well, at least it's one of the best things. Called Perrin. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
I'm Corporal Perrin from Lance Corporal Perrin from Wellington Detachment. I joined cadets about 2 years ago. I've wanted to do it since I was a kid, and I'm probably going to join the Army after I leave cadets in a couple of years.
Awesome. Corporal Perrin here, RSM, is the individual behind our amazing latest recruitment video. I don't know if you've seen it on our Instagram.
I've seen that one online, yeah, really good. Really good.
Yeah, we're exceptionally proud of Mr. Perrin. He's now got himself into loads of videography jobs that he didn't want.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Brown, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
I'm Cadet Brown, and I'm from Open Road Detachment. I've been a cadet for about 3 years, but I've been an Army Cadet for 1 year. I was in Air Cadets before, and it just wasn't my type of thing. And I wanted to change it up, so I left Air Cadets and joined Army Cadets, and it's a lot much better. I've got new friends because of it, and it's just a better environment to be in.
Oh, good.
So that brings some joy to the RSM's ears. And finally, Corporal Greenhow. Introduce yourself for us, please. Yes.
I'm Lance Corporal Greenhouse from Clifton Detachment. I joined because my uncle was a Marine and he basically said it'd be a good thing to do. And I wouldn't have changed it for anything because it's the best thing I've done. And it's just exciting to do new things that you wouldn't get if you didn't join.
You're enjoying it still?
Yeah.
Yeah? Excellent. Yeah. And finally, Sergeant Shellard. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly, if you're there?
Yeah, I am here. Shallard from Widman Road Detachment. I was a cadet for 6 years back in Leicestershire, Northamptonshire and Rutland, much like Lieutenant Emery himself. I moved over to Nottingham and I've now been an adult instructor for just under 4 years. So enjoying it. Obviously, Virtual ACF is not quite the same, but we're all adapting, we're all getting there. So it's good stuff.
Good.
So, as I've spoken to everyone about, tonight is going to be very much cadet-led. It's a discussion about leadership, and I want you to discuss it. The RSM is here to share his vast experience. Sergeant Shellard and I are just here to marshal it, really. So I asked everyone to do a bit of preparation RSM. The question was, who do you think's a good leader and why? So Corporal Bunyan, would you like to start us off with that? Who's your leader and why?
I think for me, there's quite a few. If I had to choose one, it'd be Nelson Mandela. But Nelson Mandela is the kind of go-to person you look up to. After he went through the years in prison for crime he didn't do, to come out and to become president of our country is incredible. And he's led loads of people, extremely well respected. I think anyone just liked him. He's the type of leader which I think anyone wants to aspire to be like.
So, what skills or attributes did Nelson Mandela specifically have that made him a good leader? And what does everyone else think about that?
He spoke to everyone as how he would like to be spoken to. He treated everyone how he wanted to be treated. I've got one of his quotes on my wall that says, "If you want the cooperation of humans around you, you must make them feel that they are important, and you do that by being genuine and humble." So, I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's really good.
What do other people think? Who's your leader? What's a good attribute of a leader? I like that from Corporal Bunyan, basically saying that you need to be humble and have humility and treat others with that, or with that in mind. That's what you want to get out of individuals. What's other people's opinions?
My opinion is, I think my favorite leader is Michelle Obama. As a female in a high place, she didn't just sit down and take it. She got up. She made organizations. She helped people in need. She did what she needed to do to help others. And even though she was in the public eye, she didn't just sit. And obviously, she supported her husband, but she did her own work as well. She helped a lot of charities. She raised a lot of money. She helped those who needed help and not just sit down and do what she needed to do to help her husband.
Opinions?
I personally think that she did make a change in that as well, because as women are we need that inspiration to just stand up for ourselves, because she really did that, especially with her book as well. Her book is amazing.
Amazing. She really influenced a lot of people's lives, and she showed a lot of people that you could get to a place of power, and it isn't just because someone beside you is in that place. She deserved where she was and how she got there, and even though she's not in that place anymore, she's still making an impact. So it isn't about where you are, it's about what you do with the power you have.
With the voice, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's
Also adding to that, I think it's really important, nice to see women inspiring the world, just because they used to be voiced down earlier. So I think it's really nice to see people rise and speak their voices.
Do you think you see enough of that in the ACF? Women in leadership?
Yeah, definitely. I've been talking to my friends actually about that, and I've been like, "Oh, why don't you all join?" And everyone's been saying like, "Oh, I think that I'm going to be treated differently in the ACF just because I'm a female." And I'm like, well, that's not the case at all, because I've not really felt any different being a female in the ACF, which is something I really like. I used to think that I was going to be disadvantaged because I understand that sometimes I'm not able to do as much as a man would do, but then I've not been treated any different because of that, and I think that's really important.
Do you think that shows good leadership within the ACF then, that you've not been treated any different? or?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that everyone's been treated like, most of us people, especially in my detachment, we have all different rounds of personalities and traits in our and religions, really, don't we? A lot, and we all treat everywhere, though, not just in the detachment. We all treat each other equal. Especially if someone feels uncomfortable, we always need to check on them people if they feel vulnerable or anything. And I think that's what a leader should do. Like, you need to be, or anyone should do, really, because it's something that you need to look after someone. And if any cadet needs it, especially us lot, we're like most likely to be the ones to help as well.
Definitely. In our detachment, it isn't about whether you're male or female. It's about the hierarchy. So obviously, because we're the there's a hierarchy that goes, and it's because me and Charlotte that we're on top of that hierarchy. We tell what the others need to do, not because they're females they won't listen to us. It's about whether they respect who's on top of them and how they listen to us and go to our feedback, and how we have to listen to them as well and see what they need, not just us impose them and not listen. We try to listen because that's what leaders.
I'm just going to point out something you said there. I don't know if the RSM wants to join in on this part. You mentioned hierarchy and leadership and hierarchy. Do you think that that's a good thing, that there should be a clear, defined hierarchy? And I know you referred to like leadership sitting on top of that hierarchy as a corporal in your detachment. Do you think that's necessary in the army, or do you think it works well as a method of leadership?
I think it's definitely worked well. I believe that hierarchy works. If you worked hard enough to get to where you are and you didn't slack off, you picked up the pace, you did what you needed to do, and you followed the rules, then it just helps others below you. Like, it teaches you what you need to do to get to that position. Hierarchies are there because it teaches others what you need to get to, and how the ones at the top can teach others how they need to react, how they need to it's not about knowing your place, it's about how to get to that place. Hierarchies are very important, because I believe in my detachment, if I didn't listen to our hierarchy, then I wouldn't be where I am today. I followed the rules to be able to get to Lance Corporal, then Corporal, and I really want to get higher. And I do that because I know the hierarchy and I want to go up that hierarchy. I think it's very, very important.
Anyone else got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think leadership's it's action, it's not position necessarily. You're also, if you're an officer in charge of 30 men, those 30 men aren't serving you, you're serving them, because you're leading them. So as you've got a hierarchy, it's not you got more people underneath you who you're in charge of. You've got to serve them. If you've got a job to do, you've got to serve them. So as you get higher, you understand that your decisions will influence them. So you've got to lead from the front and understand that you're serving their needs. They're not serving your needs. I mean, hierarchy, I think at my detachment, we have it, we look for potential, and then if we can see you go to cadets who've got potential to lead, we bring them in the office, have a chat, give them some responsibility so they can grow as a cadet and as an individual, and they can become future leaders. Because once I lead cadets, I want to know that I've left a legacy for the next cadet to be the senior cadet and then pass it down. Because I want my detachment to always have that capability to be a strong detachment. There's some very bright individuals in my detachment. So I think when it comes to building future leaders, you've got to spend time with everyone, understand everyone's needs. When people are good at certain things, you towards a certain task, you push in that direction. And when they're not as strong, you can help them build in that direction. So it's about knowing what everyone's capable of, strengths, weaknesses, how everyone can be improved. But you ultimately you are serving the people below you. It's not them serving you and you giving them the commands. You're serving them.
Yeah, really important that.
But also adding on to that, I do think that's really important because you don't become a leader overnight. Like, it's something that you need to build on. So it's really important what Corporal Bunyan just said about like teaching people and helping them where they need to be helped so they get to that position.
So would you say,
I agree.
sorry, Sam?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Just saying that you can't become a leader overnight. It's virtually impossible. You can't, and it's really important. I was just listening to there, and I didn't really want to interject, but it's absolutely fantastic. And this is what it is about leadership. It's not for me. My leadership. I've had many years of leadership, but what I do, I've never tried to be somebody that I'm not. So I'm my leader. This is how I do my leadership. And the best way and best method I thought of how I've done it as I've progressed through my Army years and cadets is I take a little bit from everybody. I like how you do this, but I don't like how you do that. So I'm going to keep that as a good point as well. So if you're really aggressive, really shouting, I'm going to think, right, well, I'm not really going to shout at the wrong place at the wrong time because the soldiers don't like that. It doesn't gain the respect. It doesn't anything. So sometimes that disappointed dad chat saying, look, I'm really disappointed, is far better than shouting. The moment you start shouting at people, you've probably lost control. You've lost control of the situation. They're not interested. So screaming and shouting. Yes, there is a time, there is a place. But I'm a really big believer in take a little bit from everybody else you come through. I've had some amazing role models more than anything because my military career. I've seen some really good people. I've seen some really bad people in leadership. And I've taken all their good points, all their bad points, and it's become me in my leadership. Yes, you've got the Army Leadership Code, and that's the spine that runs right up the middle. That's absolutely fantastic. But try never to emulate somebody else. Just be yourself. Just lead what you think. Lead by example, and put others first. One of the young ladies spoke earlier on, and it's about having abilities and disabilities. Don't be afraid of what you're not good at. If you are not good at something, so myself, I'm dyslexic. So I found staff work, paperwork, stuff like that. It's really tricky, and I do find that hard. But when it comes to practical stuff, thinking outside the box, that's when I become all-rounded. So in your detachments, in your group, in your sections, as a section commander, I used to treat it like a toolbox. So in front of me, I've got a toolbox. I've got someone that can be the hammer. I've got someone that can be the screwdriver. You've got to use the right person for the right task in hand. Some people will shine. Some people won't shine at that time. And things like that. So it's really important to understand your cadets. So for us, when we're going through the Army, it's understand your soldiers, know who they are, what their capabilities, what their strengths, what their weaknesses, and take all of them in. And that's what a leader does. And you use the right tool or the right cadet or the right soldier at the right time to maximise the capabilities to create the effect you want to, and you achieve your mission or whatever task you've been set. And it's really important. And it's being humble. And it's been a role model, and it's also having a mentor. Don't be afraid to have a mentor. I have a mentor even now, and every rank I've gone through, I've looked at mentors maybe one rank or two ranks above me because they've been where you are. You are senior cadets. You must remember the first time you walked into that detachment. I remember the first night I walked into my detachment and things like that. So just help people. Be that mentoring role to look after them, and it's that, hi, how are you? Can I help you? How are you feeling tonight? Or it's weapon handling test. Oh, it's always a bit tricky, but you'll manage. You've done training and things like that. It's just being the mentor. As senior cadets, you are automatically now doing leadership without you realising. And that's why the cadets is so amazing. It gives you skills that you take for granted that you just do naturally all the time.
So the RSM there brought up an amazing point about mentors and that being important in leadership. So you looking at someone, I'm going to say style of leadership, and taking good points and bad points, or learning how they did the job. In cadets, can you remember or can you pick out a mentor that you have or that you have had? Why were they your mentor? Why were they a good leader? Why was they someone that you wanted to follow or learn from? Mr. Perrin, have you ever had a mentor in cadets?
Yes, when I first joined, I had Sergeant Toes who taught me all the basics, and he really pushed me through and got me where I am now.
How did that make you feel, having a mentor?
It made me feel quite good because I feel like I had someone backing me up and making sure I could get to where I am.
Yeah.
And
having a mentor as well. If you are, as you becoming senior cadets and you're being that mentor, don't be afraid to sometimes let the cadets fail. It's a massive, massive, massive learning point. People are afraid of failure. Sometimes it has to fail to get your resilience, to build your resilience, to say, oh yeah, I tried that and it failed. If you jump in too early, they aren't going to experience this happened. All right. So if you are mentoring people, just a bit of advice from me is just get to the point where it's becoming uncomfortable and then mentor. Let's have a look. Yeah. And then know when you need to step in. Sometimes it may have to fail, sometimes, as long as there's no safety involved, obviously. But your greatest learnings are sometimes from failure. And it's that, oh yeah, I wish I did that. Okay, well, when you do it next time, or when we do it next time, you'll understand this is what you need to do and how you need to do it. So sometimes failure in the mentor role, it's there to help as well. Because if someone does that for you all the time, you're never going to learn. You're just going to, oh, they'll pick me up, and they'll help me out. Sometimes you've got to stand on your own 2 feet and build your resilience. And resilience nowadays is quite hard to come by. And I think with the Cadet Force, the training resilience is an absolutely fantastic asset. Just giving young people the resilience to, okay, it's not gone quite right today. Okay, dust myself off. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's start fresh. Let's be positive and keep going. But once you've built resilience in you, it gives you the ability just to stand up, keep going, knock down, keep going. And it's fantastic. Resilience is a really important factor.
People think leaders are necessary to build resilience. Do you think that you can just stand there and take it, or do you think leadership is important for someone to say, okay, we'll get through this tough time?
I think it is. And for me personally, being in different roles and stuff like that, it's never I can do this when I'm talking to my section or my platoon or a company. It's always been, we can achieve this. This is how we need to do it. I need your help to achieve this. And that's it. It's inclusivity. It's bringing all the people that you've got there, whether it's a detachment, once again, bring them all together. You might not have the answer. And once again, in leadership, it's that humbleness to turn around and say, I've not experienced this. Is there anyone in this room that can help me? Yeah, I've done this before and I've tried this and I failed, but I found this way was perfect. Fantastic. Listen to it. But inevitably, if you are in command, you will have to make that decision. Yes, this is what we're going to do. Sometimes it's a good decision. Sometimes it's a bad one. But you just have to make a decision. Doing nothing can be pretty critical sometimes.
Dark and Price. Right, go on, Leila.
Going on that, how would you say you motivate a team? Like, how would you say if there's a issue or there's a task that that you have to achieve? How would you motivate them to get the task done in like a manner that works? That you would say.
Taking for instance in a command task, you are in charge. Fantastic. You listen to the brief carefully. You understand it. First question I always do when I do a command task: has anyone else ever done this command task? And probably 2 or 3 times, someone says, "Oh, I've done this, and this is how I've done it." Brilliant. Okay, tell me about it. Take their points on. But motivating a team can be quite difficult. And if they're cold and wet, and you're on exercise, and it is really difficult. When at 2 o'clock in the morning, when you've got to get out your sleeping bag for sentry, well, it's sometimes. Come on, I'll help you. We can do this together. It's getting involved. And as a commander, you self-sacrifice, you respect for others and just working as a team. Sometimes, like you were saying, lead from the front. That's where you've got to be. And you've just got to just softly, I think sometimes. You'll be able to feel how intense the task is, whether it's a really difficult one and the cadets are struggling or you're struggling. But yeah, that's generally about it, really.
Is anyone?
Sorry,
go on.
I think that's something really important I've seen happen in cadets. There's been times where NCOs would go, well, my mind's blank. Does anyone have any ideas? And I think that's really important for a leader. I don't think that suggests that, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. I think that's really important, as it shows that he's listening to his group. Because I sat in assembly a while ago, and my head teacher said, it's not me that I am where I am, it's the people underneath me that put me where I am. And I think that's really important. That's really stuck with me since. And
it's quite a big thing, Miss. Sorry to interrupt. You're on a pedestal as a commander, and I've seen many people really high up doing amazingly well. But all of a sudden, if you fall off that pedestal, if you've been a good leader, people will catch you as you fall. If you haven't been a good leader, they will let you fall all the way to the bottom, and they will not pick you up. And that is a good sign of a good, strong team. They will catch you as you're falling. They will help you out. And it's being humble once again, like you were saying there, you've seen before. It's just having that. It's not a weakness to admit that you're not good at something. It's just saying, look, it's honesty, it's integrity. I'm not good at this. Please, can you help me? And someone will say, yeah, that's fantastic. How can I help you? This is how we do it. And that's how it just starts the bond in the team. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic point you brought out there, Miss. Well done.
Can I just ask a question to the cadets. Has any of you at any time felt like you've been in a position where you were the leader of a group and you felt that either the team didn't support you, the team did support you? Why was that? Can you give me some ideas or an experience of when you've felt that teamwork and that you being a leader, that support, as the RSM was saying, and why do you think you've got that support from your team?
Back in David School, I was a coach and diversity master, peer mentor, school council, sports council, and we had to deliver assemblies to every year group multiple times a term. So I would do Monday an assembly to 300 people, the day after another 300. I'd do that 5 days a week. And the team had to plan the notes, presentation. Teachers oversaw us do our planning, our preparation, our work. And we had to plan what everyone's going to say, PowerPoints, and how we're going to do it all. And the team, we all had, some of us are better talking about numbers, some of us are better talking about facts. So what we did, we worked out who was better at saying what. Some people like to read bigger paragraphs out loud, some people don't. So we worked together as a team, allocated the roles, and we just did it bit by bit by what everyone felt most comfortable with doing, and we just supported each other. Because not everyone was great at everything. I'm not best at spelling in the world, and someone had to have a notice that there's about 1,000 spelling errors, and someone else check it for me to make sure there isn't all those spelling errors in the script. So it's very important, to work as a team and understand that, together everybody achieves more.
Yeah. But no, that's a really good point you brought up there. It's absolutely fantastic. We're just not good at everything. Nobody can be good at everything, and it's understanding that leader being good at understanding what their team is. Like I'm saying, you've got a toolbox. How do you use that toolbox? Do you use certain things, right jobs, that, and you sound like you're all over it already.
So we've spoken a lot about good leadership, and we can learn a lot of lessons, or even more lessons, from things when they didn't go so well. Has anyone experienced any bad leadership within the ACF? Darkin Price, have you been in cadets for, say, 2-3 years now? Have you experienced any bad leadership?
No names.
Yeah, no names. And maybe about it, and what did you learn from it?
I don't know if I've experienced any bad leadership.
Sorry, you say you haven't experienced it. Have you thought, I wouldn't do it that way?
You put me on. I'm trying to think.
It's quite difficult, isn't it?
It is, especially on the spot. There are certain bits where, like, I definitely think there could be a better way, but I've not said anything about it, but it still worked out fine, and I've changed my mind after it, like, oh yeah, we should have done it their way anyway.
So
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean there. So that little voice inside your head, do you know what sort of courage? So there's two types of courage. Does anyone know both the types of courage?
I don't.
So there's moral courage, doing the right thing, and physical courage. So running on a section attack, physical courage. So moral courage is inside. Do you know that voice inside your head that says, I think we should have done, like you've just said there, I wish I said something. That's where you need to stand up sometimes, and moral courage is really important. And it's down to the commanders and the leadership. There is a time and a place where your input is not needed or will be needed. It's very transactional leadership. So there's also two types of leadership, transactional and transformational, and they're at both ends of the scale. And transactional is, this is how it is, we're going to do this, section attack, more or less. That's very transactional. And then there's transformational. How can we do this? Shall we do this? And that sort of stuff. And that's where you need to sit in the middle, in the leadership scale there. But yeah, it is quite a tricky one. So it's that voice inside, and sometimes you just need to say, have you thought about that? And that's the moral courage inside, that voice inside your head, the right and the wrong voice. But don't be afraid to speak up when you need to speak up.
Dr. Price, can I just add a question to that? If you did decide, going forward, actually developing your moral courage to say that and pose that question, do you think the person in charge, the leader, would have listened to you, or just blatantly ignored you and said, no, that's not necessary?
I think they definitely, they would have listened to me. There's not many people who I find in cadets. If you add something to, let's say, if you add something to what they're saying, they're not gonna say shut up and carry on. Not many would do that. Yeah, they would have listened to me, and they would either told me why they wouldn't have done that, or been like, yeah, so that's a good idea. We could try that.
Do you think that's something the ACF does well then, produces people that are quite open-minded and good leaders in that sense?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot more leaders in the ACF that would listen to you, rather than the leaders that would just be like, okay, I'm a higher rank, listen to me, and you're not going to get a say in.
Yeah.
Adding on to what Corporal Doug Price said there, I don't think there's bad leadership as in bad leadership, but rather a learning experience. But if someone's saying like, oh yeah, we're just going to do it my way just because I'm a higher rank, I think that's where the bad leadership comes into place. Even if they're doing the right thing, it's the attitude that makes it wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's to do with respect as well. Leadership, you can't make somebody respect you. If they don't respect you, they don't respect you. You can't force them to respect you. So it's just what you're saying there is people listening as well. It's respect for others, and it's whether it's their personal belief, it's who they are, where they're from, whatever it is. It's just listening and it's respect for others. And we said it right at the very beginning. And I think one of you said it: treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself. And I think that is massively important. That, for me, is the biggest one to win your team over. Is to treat people how you want to be treated yourself, and talk to people how you would like to be talked to yourself. If you've got that, you're onto a winner. Absolutely.
Would you?
Yeah, definitely, because respect goes both ways.
It does. Yeah, exactly. It's not a right. It's not a given. Just because they're I don't know whether they're a sergeant, a colour sergeant, a sat major, or an RSM even. You can't make somebody respect you. You've got to respect. Your respect is earned from the actions you do or the actions you carry out for other people, I think. And if you're looking after other people, people see that and will say, yeah, they're really all right then. They're looking after each other. And I want to be part of their gang, and I want to be looked after, and I want to be respected. So I will give them respect back. Yeah, it's really important that. Treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself, and talk to people how you want to be talked to.
So we've had a good discussion there for about 35 minutes or so. What I want to do now then is try and focus and identify and name these key skills that we've been discussing, and let's try and come up with a top 10 list of good attributes a leader has. Someone happy with that?
Sounds good.
Does anyone want to start off then? We've been talking a lot about respect. Would you say that'd be on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go respect number 1. Anywhere else? Anyone else?
I think confidence should be on the list. Because obviously you can fake confidence, but if you have that confidence, it helps. So you can't just be sat in a corner and trying to be a leader. You have to speak out and have that confidence to present your ideas.
I think personally with confidence as well, you can put courage with it. So confidence and courage could be next to each other.
Confidence, courage. Do you think there's leaders, I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier, but do you think that confidence can kind of verge onto arrogance, and that sometimes if you get that balance wrong, that's when you start to lose, say, that respect, which we've said is the fundamental leadership? Yeah? No? Am I wrong?
I agree with you. Yeah. People can see people being too confident and see it as arrogance. And that's when people begin to look at you thinking, you clearly don't know what you're doing, because you're so full of yourself thinking, you're so confident that people look at you and go, I don't like that person because he's 110% sure he's always right. And if you think you're always right, you're not. No one's always right. Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, anyone, their leader is always right. No one's perfect. So it's a right degree of confidence, but you've got to understand that you can't be so confident that you think you're always right. You've got to be able to listen to others and be able to understand that other people might have better ways of doing things. Only a fool would not take on knowledge from someone else. I think if someone offers you advice, you don't take it. You're an idiot, because people offer you knowledge. Knowledge is power at the end of the day. That ability to do your job better because someone else gives you some advice. If you don't take it, I think that's tends towards the kind of arrogant side if you're not taking other people's advice.
I think you've hit a really good point there on knowledge. Knowledge in the army. So knowledge breeds confidence. If you've got the knowledge on the subject you're talking about, you breed confidence. But it is a very fine line, as you say, between confidence turning into arrogance. When you start talking about this is me, this is what I do, this is all me, then that's becoming into arrogance. And then your team will see straight through that, will see straight through you, and they'll just switch off. They're like that. Be humble. That's all you need to be. Don't be arrogant. You're as good as I'm just me, is what I normally say to people. Oh, yeah, you're really good. I'm just me. I'm not anybody. I'm not wanting to be somebody. I'm just who I am. I'm just me. That's a really good point, that one.
It's great. I think that is really important. There is a lot of people in the ACF that I'll take that back. There's not a lot. There are a few people in the ACF that aren't able to get that balance between confidence and arrogance. It's that knowledge. RSM, they've been in for a while. They've got that. Cadets and adults. I'm not trying to point anyone out. That have a wealth of knowledge and they're not interested in new ideas. And I think that's definitely a problem in any team. Do people agree? Do people have not specific names or any examples or experience of that at detachment or in your cadet experience or in your army experience?
Yeah, it is, and it's like goodness for me. So I joined the army in 1996, and I was well, they're not like they are in the olden days, and they're not made like this nowadays. And I've done 24 years, and I'm this, and we never did this. And if I had £1 for every time someone said to me, in my detachment or in my county, we do it this way, I wouldn't be in this job. I'd be in a mansion somewhere. But it's the ability to adapt and overcome and conquer. So if something needs changing, don't be afraid of change. Change is good. Change is good, you know what I mean? And if it doesn't quite work, just keep changing it and change it till it is right. But you've got to have the ability, and sometimes I see this quite sometimes where I've done this for 48 years and I'm only going to do it this way. Well, that's fantastic. 48 years ago was fantastic. But however, now we're 48 years down the line this way, and things need to change for the good. So don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. And just run with it. This is a prime example of the situation now with this. So we've gone to virtual. You know what I mean? I see this on lots of platforms, different groups saying, oh, this is going to be the downfall of the cadet force. No cadet's ever going to go back to a detachment. No, it's not true. This is just adapting to learning. Universities do learning from home, do all this sort of stuff. Fantastic. I've seen lectures from universities done over Skype, done over everything else. So there are all sorts of platforms. It is just another platform. You'll never beat face-to-face contact. But in this current situation, obviously, that's not possible. So we're adapting, we're changing to get around that problem.
Just a question for everyone then. So you talked a lot about confidence and they are about accepting change. Do you think that's a true form of confidence? Be able to say, okay, maybe I'm wrong in this. I'm going to take your advice. Or, okay, I've done it this way for so long. What I'm going to do now is change. Does that take confidence, do you think? And do you think that's important in a leader?
I definitely think that takes confidence. For example, I remember when we were at camp and we were doing drill, and there was a certain drill that was that we needed to do, but the person leading drill wasn't taking into account what every single person on the squad was saying, and it actually took a member of staff to come and say, "You're doing it wrong." And every time that we had to say, "This is how everyone knows it. Why are you doing it differently?" A person still didn't understand, but didn't take into account what everyone was saying. And a member of staff had to say, you're doing it wrong. Do it the way they said it because they are right, and you should have understood what they were saying. And I think when everyone else realized that the person wasn't listening, it made us lose a little bit of, I don't want to say respect, but we didn't, every time they said a command, we took into account, is it right or is it wrong? So I think that kind of it pushed everything around a little bit, because if you did it right from the beginning, it would be like, oh, okay, this is right. Or if you owned up to your mistake, we would have been like, oh, okay, it was a mistake. But then when they wouldn't own up to it, we took into account, and so every command they gave, we was thinking, is it right? Are they doing it correctly? Do we have to do this? Obviously, we still did the command because they're higher rank, but it ruined the kind of format of what was going on. And I think I personally didn't listen to the person as much anymore, and I think that kind of shifted everything because they didn't listen.
So you started to question and double guess.
Definitely question.
Became a bit reluctant to follow, and that's quite important as a leader. You need individuals to follow you.
But which value is that then, to turn around and say this is not right?
Is that moral courage?
Yeah, moral courage, exactly. Just and it's the ability to, like you were saying in the group, and the group turned around and said this is incorrect, and things like that. And it is that difficult sometimes. That is prime example moral courage. Sir, ma'am, I think this is incorrect. I've done it this way in the past. Look at how I've done it, and they might think, oh yeah, that's really good. If one person is saying, I think this is incorrect, and everyone's going saying, no, this is fine, it's probably right. But if you've got 20, 30 people all of a sudden saying, sir, ma'am, this is incorrect, that's when you need to stop and go, let me just check. And that's where your humbleness comes in to say, oh yeah, that's fine. And that's knowledge again. Oh yeah, sorry, I was incorrect. That is a wrong drill movement. This is how it should be done. Sorry about that. And that's it. And you'll get more respect from your team going, oh yeah, well, they admitted the mistake was wrong and we changed it and we rectified it. And we still achieved our mission at the end of we still achieved our aim at the end of that lesson. And that's how you can rectify that. But yeah, that's a really good point, Miss. Really well brought out
that. So we've got a few points there. The RSM talk about that humility again, humbleness. That's essential. Do we agree or do we not? What's our points on that? Any other key aspects or attributes a good leader has that you want to bring out, and we can discuss?
I think that a good point is understanding those you are leading, as well as understanding what you're learning, like what you're teaching them as well. So I think a good point is understanding. Of it.
Understanding, yeah.
So this is going to be a bit me-centric, but so when I was a cadet, before I joined as an adult, I did a course called the Cadet. Well, I was a cadet for 6 years in LNR, as Sergeant Allard was. And when I was a sergeant in the cadets, I did a course called the Cadet Leadership Course, which I hope all of you will definitely look to go on to do after this. And as you go through your cadet career, especially when you should be going on that very soon. Anyway, back to the top. And we had a task to come up with an acronym for leadership. So the Army Leadership Code has an acronym. It's called leadership, and each letter stands for a word. We came up with the acronym LEAD. It was learn, encourage, adapt and overcome, and drive the team forward. And I just wanted to highlight that understanding is about learning, isn't it? Called Martin, because it's you need to be able to learn what your team's capable of, what you need to learn. I think that comes back down to respect. Would you say that's important, the ability to learn?
Time to improve, get better way of doing things, more efficient way. Only part of it, integrity as well. Admitting you're wrong, as we heard earlier. So there's loads of factors to make a good leader. Again, in my opinion, I think being a leader is your interpretation of leadership. Same when I referee rugby and football. It's your interpretation of the rules and you're applying them to the game. So it comes down to what you think is the right way and what's the wrong way of doing things in certain situations. Because there's loads of different leadership styles. There's autocratic, bureaucratic. It depends on the situation you're in, which one you're going to use. But not everything needs, when you're in a firefight and you're overwhelmed, not everything needs debate. You just need to get out there, you need to bug out. So it does depend on the situation. Sometimes it's best to consult with team. Sometimes you haven't got the time frame for that. So it is about situation, understanding do I know everything there is to know here, or is someone else in my section who's capable of actually leading this one from in front of me and taking a back seat because they know how to do it better than me?
Yeah, it hits nail on the head quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thoughts and opinions?
Do you want me to quickly go through the quick Army Leadership Code while they think about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Army Leadership Code, it's down the spine, as you're saying, it says leaders. So it's lead by example for the first one. Encourage thinking. So you're asking for your team to be thinking, to encourage it, to don't just say, oh yeah, that's my way or no way. Encourage squad thinking. Apply or reward discipline. Demand high performance. That's what you want. The standards you accept are the ones you walk past. So demand them. Encourage confidence in the team. Recognise individual strengths and weaknesses, which we've covered tonight anyway. Apart from that big toolbox that we were talking about earlier. And then strive for team goals is important. Come together as a collective to achieve your mission and goals. But yeah, that's the team leaders.
So I just want to quickly highlight the values that we've got so far. So we've got respect, that knowing your team and building a relationship with your team. Confidence and courage. Sometimes you need that courage to be confident. And then merging that confidence and balance confidence with arrogance, making sure we get the right balance. We've got knowledge, which is breathing that confidence or breathing that confidence. We'll talk about more courage. Understanding and learning. Integrity. Is any key? I know there's lots and lots of attributes and values. Is there any key ones you want to add to that list before we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
I think communication is one of the most important aspects that you can have.
That was one item on my list. Absolutely critical.
Not only just to being able to communicate from yourself to your team, but having that aspect of being able to listen to your team. Like Mr. Bunyan said, there's certain aspects of all walks of life where you have that perfect opportunity to be able to take in everything your team's saying. But in the context of a firefight where you might need to just take control, being able to communicate effectively and having the respect of your team to listen to you when that needs to happen is paramount in my opinion.
Absolutely. What does everyone else think about communications?
Think of a good example and a bad example of communication. When something, or when someone's in a leadership position has communicated something well, or maybe sometimes they haven't. How they communicated it well? How haven't they? What did they do right? What did they do wrong?
When I first started cadets and I went on my first camp, obviously I was a bit new and I've done what I needed to do to get on that camp. But they put us in a group, me and Corporal Maslanka in a group, and I think it was full of 1 stars and 2 stars. And then they, when we were getting taught something, they expected us to know it. And I think when they were communicating that, we were trying to understand what they were saying, but we couldn't. And I think when we didn't understand, we kind of felt a bit like, oh, why are we even here if we don't understand what they're talking about? They're not communicating it correctly. And it kind of, I think when me and Miss Lanka were there, it kind of swayed us a little bit. But when there was good communication and we told them, we're just blank stars in this our first camp and we're just finding our footing, they understood, and then they explained what we needed to do in that process. They were explaining what commands we need and what they need to teach us and what we need to know. And I think when we explained that we didn't know, and that kind of twisted it around, and then we understood what was going on. And I think that really helped once we communicate with our leaders and they taught us what we needed to know. It really helped us.
We've communicated. Sorry, go on, Miss. Go on, I'm listening.
I'm Miss Lanka. So I was with her at the same time. I think the step-by-step approach to it, like slowing it down, made us understand more, especially with the communication as well. Having that step-by-step with someone like who knows what they did, like not saying they didn't, but like it was just like it was going so fast and it wasn't the communication to all of us at the same time. So that sitting down, getting it down and step by step just got into our heads a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. I think with communication, It's got to be clear communications. What you've got to articulate to your squad, your section, your individual cadet exactly what you want them to do. It's got to be clear and precise information. Once you give them that, then they can process it and then they can act on it. If you don't give clear orders, say you're in a firefight or in a section attack, you've got to give clear, precise orders, exactly what you want people to do. Then, like you said there, Miss, you've just broken it down into small chunks. If you regurgitate the whole of Fieldcraft pamphlet in one go, someone's going to be like, well, I'm not interested. I didn't even get four words that you said there. Break it down into small chunks. And that's where you understand as well in that leaders. You understand strengths and weaknesses. So you know someone's strength. Just break it down slower. Some people learn completely different speeds. People are pictorial learners. Some people are written it down. Some people will read a pamphlet and it's in there. And it's everything. But it's clear, precise communications. Communications is key.
I think the RSM as well just highlighted a point that I wanted to bring up. You can start, we've already discussed it, but I think that was a good example where all these attributes overlap and interact. So to deliver clear and concise communication, you need to know how people receive that information. So for example, for me to just reflect on something that I'm not great at, I think naturally because of what I do at university, I quite like to write, and sometimes I write too long and too elaborately to get something across to a cadet. So that's something that I need to improve on. But again, and that ability there is that ability to learn, understand and recognise and identify the individual's needs, and identify your own needs and your own place to improve. So I think then, as I said, that was going back to another skill we were talking about, understanding and learning. And the second part I wanted to bring out was, what do people think on communication being essential for engagement, team engagement? Is it essential, the ability to communicate, to get an engagement from your team?
There's two types of communication. You've got verbal communication, you've got non-verbal communication. Sometimes it's better to do it verbally, and sometimes it's better to do it non-verbally. You don't always need to tell someone, give them a full essay about how you should start the building. Sometimes a hand signal or a fire control is enough. And like Emery said, I write loads and loads and loads when I'm doing my coursework. We get asked to write 5,000 words, I write 10,000. And one of my people just writes loads and loads and loads. And I think you've got to understand how much you need to, you just break it down, because I can't take in about 10,000 words at once. Loads of information for someone to take in. And I think when you're with cadets, different style grades, you've got to understand that not everyone's going to want to sit there for an hour and listen to you go rapid through, let's say, orders phase in cadets. So when I was taught orders from a 3-star about a year and a half ago, they tried to teach orders in an hour. And orders is so big. I've tried to go through an hour, and I was thinking, I can't even remember what the G stands for at one point. So then, when I teach at MIDA, I actually made my own PowerPoint. I broke it down to how I think it should be taught. So then when I teach my cadets as a 4-star to my cadets who shoot 3 stars, I teach how I like to be taught it. I think it's just easier sometimes. You look at, you take parts from the leaders which you like and what you don't like, and you kind of make it to a bit of you, and then you can do it how you think you can do it. So communication, it is key, especially if you don't pass the communication down in a section. Person at the back's got no idea what's going on. So it's important. Yes. Everyone understands, and you get that reassuring. That everyone's tapped back up the line and said, "Yeah, I know exactly what's happening." It's important that everyone understands and knows what we're doing, because if we don't, that's some mistakes happen. Mistakes in cadets, and a firefight is major, but in the British Army, people making mistakes in a firefight that can not result in best outcome. So I think it's all about, do you need to sit there for 10 minutes and have a conversation with someone, or can you just give a hand signal? It's verbal communication, non-verbal. It's not essential. Exactly
that, and it's like you're saying there. It's communications. Sometimes it's very direct. You will do this. Finish chat. Done. In a section attack. Sometimes transactional. You've got to be there. You will assault this. Finish that. Happy. Done. Conversation. Stop. There is a time to talk. But like you're saying there, working within your team, hand signals. Perfect. If you don't need to talk, don't talk. Really good. And that's one for good for orders. You're sitting there writing loads of stuff down in your orders. But then you've got people like me that's dyslexic that will find that really hard writing in the dark under your torchlight. And then all of a sudden, the platoon's commander will say, right, close your notebooks. This is how we are going to execute the operation. Look at the model. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm a pictorial learner. But yeah, sometimes you need communications. Sometimes it doesn't, because it's clear, precise, and you already know what you need to do to achieve your mission, to achieve your goal.
I think Corporal Warner, you highlighted it there when you were talking about passing like the tap back up the chain. It's very important, as all of us are leaders or will grow into a position of leadership, that we understand that communication is not just us talking to you, it's you understanding that and us knowing that you understand that. So a great example of this, thank you, RSM. A great example is the virtual ACF, and we'll come on to this in a second because it's something that, or the purpose of this seminar, is when we're on social media, say an adult puts posts out on Facebook saying we're going to do this on this day, especially because that's how we need to communicate now through the virtual ACF, and we don't get any response. How we communicated that, I would argue we haven't, because I don't know if you understand. I think that's a bit of a difficult thing that we need to ourselves improve on and identify that issue at the moment in the virtual ACF. That was a very specific topical point. Okay, going to move on now then to the final question before we have a bit of a Q&A with the RSM. So we have come into this period now, and we know it will only be temporary. How temporary or how long it might last, we don't quite know yet, but we are in this virtual ACF world. And adult instructors and counties and the ACF as an organisation has tried to adapt and change the entire organisation in a matter of weeks, transforming all our... So we're very much in practice, practical. We meet up in individuals in real life and do real life things. Now we're trying to do that all over the internet. How can we as cadets and adult instructors actually lead in this virtual ACF, do you think? How can we apply these skills? What can we do as leaders to lead in the virtual ACF? What do you think we can do? If I ask Mr. Perrin to start off the conversation.
I think, like, as you say, communication is key. Like, just like constant, like keeping, like making sure everyone's okay, and like keeping up with everything. Just not like leaving it for a couple of days, and then just like putting a command out, like keeping it up to date and everything, making sure everyone's up to date with what's going on.
How effective do you think social media is for doing that? So as I said earlier, we're putting a lot of information out but not getting much back. Do you think there's ways that we can do that differently? Would you say emails are better? Or try and think now, applying these real theoretical concepts, give us practical, tactical advice that we can do and implement.
I think emails would be quite good, because on Facebook I don't have my notifications on my phone, which I probably should. But emails, like I keep I'll get notifications for them, like, so I keep up to date with it, not going on having to check every like 5 minutes if anything is being put on.
People's opinions?
Yeah, I agree with Parent. My phone was currently broken. I was on a run. My phone fell out my running sleeve. It broke to about 1,000 pieces. So I use a computer and post on Facebook all the time. Because we're sending me posts a day. I think it's about 3 or 4 posts on a page. And some cadets get to the point where you just kind of get sick and tired of seeing all the posts and all the information, because there's massive paragraphs, there's like long letters, and some cadets just don't read it. I think it needs to be more concise. And if you want a response from everyone, not everyone wants to comment on a post and say, I've seen this. So maybe because obviously technology is forever evolving, you can give it on Facebook, maybe have a little poll. Have you seen this? Just press yes on the poll, then you know they've read it and understood it. If they've got any questions, you can just post some comments. But I think it'd be much easier to send it out via email, because then it's there, but you're not going to lose it, because when you've got new posts, you just kind of push a post down. and email you won't lose it. You can print them off, so you can make notes on them, and then you can take your own time to actually read it and reply. I think email would be a lot easier, because I know everyone in cadets, adults, CFAVs, they've all got Army mail. So I just CCAT and applying for all my CCAT courses, because I've done 3 CCATs now. So I apply for I actually email CCAT, and it's much easier if they reply on there. You get the attached documents you need, and they say they break it down briefly, and it's easy to communicate that way when it is over Facebook. So not every cadet my decks, and the parents don't let them on Facebook, so they don't know. So some people fail our knowledge. We get to let's say it's PT on a Thursday. You get cadets coming kits, it's been PT kit because they don't have Facebook, and the parents aren't on the page. So it's be easier to have everyone's email and just send it to email, in my opinion. But yeah, again, there's multiple ways of doing it. But I think Facebook, it is good. It's useful for teenagers, so 16-year-olds on it quite a bit. But you've got to think about when you have 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds who don't really use Facebook, and parents may not let them on it. So I think it's all about understanding that not everyone has the same access to the same kind of platforms. I think, but that's my opinion on it.
Saying on to if people have access or not, I think it's really important that we as cadets communicate. Outside cadets, most of us are friends, hanging out and everything. So a lot of the times I've had some of my friends just message me, "Oh, have you seen this on Facebook? Oh, have you seen the new Instagram post? Oh, did you know about that camp going on next weekend or whatever?" So then I think communication is important from adults to cadets, but then in between cadets as well, us telling people and reminding people. I know our NCOs would message us and be like, "Oh yeah, don't forget this, we're doing field crafts now, don't forget your combat or whatever." So just little things like that.
Do you communicate, have you been communicating a lot as cadets during this lockdown? Because obviously we've been doing challenges and trying to interact with you on social media and on the online and the virtual world. How are you? And sometimes it's difficult for us to communicate to you directly with safeguarding concerns. So are you communicating a lot as cadets outside during this? Not just as friends, but with a bit more of a cadet leaning to not just talk about your social life, but what's going on in cadets. Do you talk about it or not?
I would say, I would say I talk about cadets on a social media app, specific one. I have a cadets story, so everyone I know who goes to cadets is on that story. So everything I post, they would reply to it, or if there's a camp going on and I want to know who's on that camp, I'll just post on that story. Or if there's a athletic competition going on, or we want to know what we need to do for that certain camp, I'll just post on it. Everyone who goes to cadets will comment. And I think that really helps me because I can just keep track of who's doing what and who's going where. And I think once people know, I can tell other people, and then they'll ask me, "Oh, who's going on this camp? Who's doing this? Or who's leading this?" And I think that's very important, and I think it helped me a lot. So I think when I created that cadet story, it helped others know what is going on with current cadets. And I feel because there's a lot of people on that story, it helps more and more because of certain camps and different companies, and just know what everyone is doing all around.
Is that active now? Are you using it a lot? I mean,
I would say I used it a lot. Yeah, I would say I used it a lot more during when we're doing cadets. But I've been on it once or twice during quarantine. I think after that, there's not much use to it because of quarantine. But I feel once after this, I'll try and post more on it, and then ask people's opinions on it, and just see what I can do for other people that are on the story.
I think that's a good point, because this comes back really, really, really to the start of what we've been discussing tonight. Corporal Bunyan said about leadership, you're there to serve others. I think that's a great way that you can help serve others, using that social media and that communication, using that story to serve other people's needs, tell them what's going on, they know as well. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. Well done.
Sir, can I just have a quick question? Yeah. Just to the audience. So I speak to regional command most days, and especially to the media ops communication cell. So it's the people who run all the national campaigns and things like that. My question to all of you, what would you like to see being on social media? What is good to see? What is not good to see? Is there too much information, too many platforms? Do you see, there's quite a lot of questions there. There's probably about 3 questions in one. So what would you like to see sort of nationally on campaigns?
I think that the challenges were really good and really inspired so many people. I think on the campaigns, I think there is a lot of writing. There's for loads of people to just view that. It's just like, say if I'll be waiting for the bus, it's something like, oh, I want to quickly read it and be like, oh, okay, that's so cool. Whereas in other things with the long writing, it's just it carries on a bit, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So
what's too much? What are you seeing too much of? As soon as you look on your phone, go, keep going, thumb down.
You can't say second lieutenant Emmerich. That's the wrong answer.
I think so. It's like if there's just loads of writing,
it's got to be piffy to the point.
You know, if you have to press see more, I think that's it. If you look on Facebook.
It's got to be to the point, hasn't it? Very piffy, straight to the point, and stuff like that. Is there anything we're missing? What do you want to? You know what I mean? Challenges are good. Is it information? Is it courses? Is it what's going on? What's not going on? Information generally. I'm. It's not for me. I'm just purely just to see because I'm on about 3 different platforms, and Mrs. L's always like, "Oh, you're always on the phone." And stuff like that. So there's not a lot that I miss. It's just nice to see what you think on the ground. There's a lot of people pumping a lot of stuff out, and it's just to see whether it's the right sort of stuff more than anything, because we're all probably watching this.
I feel like you should put it on more. I feel like they're not on all the platforms. Like I'm on 2 chats on Facebook, which is our show detachment chat and the A company chat, and I feel like because they're on certain platforms, you can't see it on the other ones. I feel like if you limit it to certain ones, we won't be able to see it. And I want to join as much as I can, but if I'm only on 2 chats, I won't be able to access all the campaigns or platforms that they're on for me to be able to see them. And I think I wouldn't say I always check it, but every time there's a notification, I see it. Like during this seminar, there's been about 7 notifications from Facebook from A company, and I think they're not all on what we need to do, but just certain things that we're doing at the moment. I just want more on our platforms, more options, more opinions of what we're doing, or just like sometimes I think when they give us updates, I think that's really helpful. Like we've been getting updates on the COVID-19 and stuff like that, and I think that's really helpful.
Do you want interaction? So when you see your post, you go, "Oh wow, that's really good. Press 1 for this or vote for this." Do you want more interaction instead of just information after page after page?
I think interaction would definitely interaction would be a key part. I feel like if I just read it and I just like it, then it's not really me.
You've not achieved anything, have you?
Yeah, exactly. So if it's a poll or if it's interaction, I feel like I'll definitely get into it more. And I think in our show detachment, there's a lot of polls and stuff, and I think that one was very helpful and stuff, and I think that's very useful. Definitely more interaction.
No, it's good. Really good. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, I was just being curious. That was all. I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking, that's some good questions.
So just to add to it, I said this is kind of where we want to go with this. We've talked about the theoretical aspect of leadership. We've identified the skills that we have, and that hopefully that you now know. Okay, I've got this, but I need to improve this, or
do that. Yeah.
Well, this is now where we turn that theoretical into practical. Obviously, as I said earlier, we're in a really new world with this virtual ACF. And the RSM and I had a chat Sunday to prepare for this seminar. And he brought up a really amazing point. This is a youth organisation. The youth. This is your organisation. Yes, it's our organisation too, but as Sergeant Shall and I and the RSM, we've all come through the ACF as cadets. It was always our organisation, and we need to keep it new and current. So what do you want to do? What can you do to help in this virtual ACF? It doesn't always have to be me that sets the challenge. You could set a challenge.
I mean, I think cadets have a lot going on. We've got loads of school work we've got to do. Like my brother is year 9. He's given loads of work. He's got to like go on all these like kind of Skype conferences with them. I think cadets don't really think of challenges to do because not everyone's creative. I think adults and CFABs can keep assessing them, but not every cadet's going to do it because can't find the time or it's not that interesting. I think like the video challenge, which I saw quite a few cadets do. That's what cadets will enjoy doing, is making like videos like that. That's interesting, and because there's a reward, everyone will want to do it. I've had people from different units and not CHF messaging me for photos of whatnot, and I think it's great because everyone's getting involved. So stuff like that, people really do enjoy. And like this kind of kick up your challenge with socks everyone's been doing now, I think that isn't as interesting as making videos. That's still good, but again, not everyone can do football. Not everyone can,
As I say, I've been in this organisation about 3 years, and I've never seen it move so fast and so swift in all my time in the last year, 18 months. Absolutely phenomenal. It's gathering pace at a phenomenal rate. Things are changing from the cadet portal to the DLE. The new syllabus will be coming out shortly, and that's the entire Cadet Force syllabus as we speak is getting pulled apart, put back together, modern, dynamic on the DLE. Fantastic. It's phenomenal. This organisation is changing as quick as ever.
I remember it's your organisation as well. So as we are in this virtual ACF, it's up to you to make it what you want it. So, when you said that you don't have time to make changes, what do you want to do now in this virtual ACF? And I will add another point. We are looking at getting this out very soon. I know there's been discussions in the higher ups about getting it out. Hopefully, the next few months. It was all to be done before annual camp this year, but obviously with new world we're in, shall we say, for the temporary time being, a bit of a change. But we are looking to get it out quickly because, as the RSM said, it is a massive game changer. But as I said, your organisation, what do you want to do in this virtual ACF?
Yeah, so I was thinking, so obviously you can pass stuff off for like younger and less senior cadets, so like their blank star and their recruit test, just like their military knowledge. But because like we haven't got, so I'm leaving in September because I'm going to AFC Harrogate, and I was hoping to get my 3-star before it. And now obviously because of all this coronavirus stuff, we're not being able to do like the Duke of Edinburgh's, we're not being able to do this stuff. I know it's not necessarily possible like to do the Duke of Edinburgh's while in coronavirus, but I don't know if there's a way we can start sort of doing some tests and stuff, just try ticking stuff off.
So from what I understand, we have discussed this as adults. It's quite easy to do your basic or your recruit boards, your 1-star, a bit of your 2-star, all online. Because a lot of the non-board stuff is quite simple. It's just a test, and then we can moderate and deal with that. As you go from 2, 3, 4 Master Cadet, it is all in person. 3-star, the majority of 3-star is fieldcraft, navigation, expedition. There fundamentally need to be a change in the syllabus, and maybe the RSM here is the ideal person to talk to because he's got the links with the regional command and the influence. We would need a syllabus change, would we not, RSM, to kind of facilitate this new virtual ACF if we want to get the 3, 4-star SCIC passed?
It is. It's an ever-changing. This virtual world was never even thought of, to be truthfully honest, if you see what I mean, as in what we're doing right now, because it was forced upon us. We are now reactive instead of proactive. Changing the syllabus, it's, as I said, completely been pulled apart, and it's been rebuilt by regional command and an amazing team, the TDT. Absolutely phenomenal. I hear every briefs every day on people doing amazing subjects and where they are, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. So when it does come out, which is due to be released September time, it will be absolutely a game changer. It's been dusted off, rebuilt, fantastic, built for purpose for the modern syllabus. virtual stuff, it's something we'll look into, and we'll see where it goes into. A few of the courses, especially for the volunteers, is the pyrotechnics has just gone online on the DLE and things like that. So there's things done there already to take away classroom work that can be done in your own room, exactly what we're doing now. So yes, it's still a virtual learning, and it's inevitably going to go that way as well, which is a good. If we can take the not, I'm saying not so interesting is not the right word, I don't think. But if we can take exactly that, if we can take stuff that will release time elsewhere in the syllabus and do it at home in our own time, where we are doing this sort of stuff, absolutely fantastic. And then it leaves more room to do the fieldcraft, the navigation, the shooting, getting hands on weapon systems and all that sort of thing. So yeah, so it is going that way. It'll come out in September, but it'll take probably 18 months to get bedded in properly. Things will change. It's only been developed here. This looks good. We'll run with it, but it has to be trials tested. Some things have been trialed and tested. But yeah, so yeah, it's the future. It's going to change. So just watch this space. It'll be fantastic.
Has anyone else got anything that they'd like to add with regards to what you want to do in the virtual ACF? Do you want lessons delivered online? Do you want stuff like this? Do you want challenges? What can we do? And most importantly, what can you do to get the most out of this virtual ACF? What do you want to do?
I think personally. Oh, sorry.
That's right. You go.
I think personally that I think all of us really want to make a difference. Like personally, I want to make a difference in like anything really, but I think like especially with like challenges, I think we could do something with the NHS and like work something with that. Like make a video again, and then Perrin could probably edit it, or like just work as a team really and make a difference, because I think that's what's like more important in this time, because we're all so separate, whereas we all just need to work as a team and work together.
Awesome. So kind of like a challenge or an activity to help promote the NHS or other essential workers,
or just like probably like a video just showing like our thanks to them, or just something that's like grateful, because we wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for them, or like just something that's going to make a difference. I think.
Good, making a difference. I like that. Keeping the flame alive. You'll have seen the cadet resilience and keeping the flame alive. This is a fantastic way of keeping the flame alive, keeping people interested. This is the worst it's ever going to get. It can only get better from here, and I think this is pretty good right now, what we're doing and keeping the flame alive right across the Cadet Force, whether it's people, virtual drill nights, doing challenges, things like that, making awareness. The Cadet Force has a really high profile, and we've got some amazing ambassadors. We've got Phil Campion, we've got Jordan Wiley, we've got Craig, and we've got the national treasure Lorraine Kelly, which is the honorary colonel of the Cadet Force, and they're singing the praises. We had Corporal Johnson this week being on TV, being adopted by the entire Army Cadet Force and showing his goodwill. I remember I donated on his page, and it was about £40, and I said, "Oh, what I'll do is I'll just spread this, see how it goes." And I said, "Enjoy the ride, here it goes." And he's been on TV and he's been everywhere. The Cadet Force is amazing. So yeah, keep the flame alive. We're fantastic. We're really good at it.
I really like that idea. So I'm going to put it to you, over the next week or so, why don't you try and do it? Start it. Remember, all of this stuff that's happened in this virtual ACF, it was just adult instructors starting it. Would you agree, RSM? There was initially...
It is, yeah. There's nothing come from regional command to turn around and say, you have to do virtual drill nights, or you have to do this, you have to do that. The emphasis from regional commanders is loving what you're doing. It's fantastic how you're achieving all of this. So it's fantastic.
So yeah, my challenge to you, start this video thanking the NHS, and let's get it out next week if we can. If you want our support, let us know, and we're here to support you. But yeah, we would love to see that. I think RSM, like,
fantastic.
There's a lot of adult starting challenges and adult starting activities. You start them. This organisation is your organisation. I keep saying it. It is. It's a youth organisation. Let's keep it youthful. I mean, I wouldn't like to say I'm old, but I'm definitely much older than you. So make sure, like, this is it's for your
And I'm well older than you, sir, to be honest.
age number, RSM age number. Anyway, this is your organisation. It's up to you to do what you want to do, and we're here to support you with that. So I think that's where I'd like to leave this aspect. If you've obviously got anything else you want to add or ask, that's fine. Anyone got anything else they want to add to ask? I hope that part has been useful for you, RSM. And for me personally, it's been very useful. I know what I'm going to do now going forward to try and help you. But for the last 10, 15 minutes or so, has anyone got any questions for the RSM? Obviously, you've heard his background. He's been in the Army 20 plus years. He was a cadet before that. He sits at the top of the organisation now. So what would you like to ask?
I'm not that high up. Goodness me, I'm not that high up. I can still see the summit, but I'm not there.
Okay, near the top, very, very close to the top.
Yeah. Don't worry if you've got no question. Go on then.
I have a question. What regiment are you in the Army?
I'm in the Yorkshire Regiment. So initially when I joined the Army in 96, 97, I was 96, sorry, I was a Green Howard, which is a North-East regiment. So it covers anywhere between Scarborough, Middlesbrough, just touches on the outskirts of York, that sort of circumference around there. And then in 2006, we turned into the Yorkshire Regiment. So it was the Green Howards, the Duke of Wellingtons, and the PWOs, the Prince of Wales' own Yorkshire Regiment. They amalgamated into the Yorkshire Regiment on the 6th of June, 06, which is a good number. So I've spent more of my time as a Yorkshire Regiment soldier than I had initially as a Green Howard when I joined. So it's an infantry regiment.
All right, okay. Thank you. So do you recommend the Army as like a good career if you're enjoying cadets?
It is, and people say, one of the questions I've heard before as well is, do I have to join the Army because I'm in cadets? You don't have to do anything. It's just a youth organisation. There is 12 major youth organisations in this country. We are just sponsored by the Army. There is no pressure to join in any way, shape or form. And do you have to join? It's just another avenue. For me, it lit the blue touch paper. And for many people, it's lit the blue touch paper to be in the armed forces, whether it's Army, Air Force, Navy. You don't have to do whatever you want to do just because you're in the Army Cadet Force. You have to be in the Army. Look at your horizons. There are vast amounts of jobs that anybody can do within the armed force services or the uniform services. There are hundreds and hundreds of jobs. If you have a particular interest, I guarantee some way, shape or form, the armed forces will cover it, or uniform services somewhere will cover it.
Okay.
Do you think being in cadets gives you like a better position to get into the Army, even if you do a job in the Army that we don't necessarily experience in cadets?
It gives you a really good understanding about the armed forces, the ethos. The same ethos as what we do here in cadets is emulated in the armed forces. It's still respect for others, selfless commitment, courage, discipline, integrity. All of them we still do in cadets. So I see this all the time. And when I was a Phase 1 instructor, when I was a corporal, 2004, I used to see cadets coming through, and cadets were ashamed to say that they were cadets. Like when I joined the Army, I never mentioned I was a cadet. Be proud. If you are going to join the Army, tell them that you've been a cadet. And things like that. It gives you an advantage probably up to about week 6 in training. So you've covered all your drill, all your weapon handling, all your kit and equipment, and everything else like that. It will give you a good head start. Instead of learning it and trying to regurgitate it, when you're in the basic training, you've already learnt it. So you're not under pressure. Your learning curve is not as steep as somebody else that's not been in cadets. And you can take back and relax. You can sit back a bit and relax and sort of enjoy training for what it is from there. So it is a really good, like I said right at the very beginning, it's the foundations of my Army career. And I've just built on top of it. And that's what the Cadet Forces does, and any youth organisation. Just gives you a good standing in modern society. It makes you a far, far better person. I know when I was 14, 15, I could not articulate myself hardly. It was confidence. Standing up, I've stood there in front of 400 or 500 people and given a lecture to people going on operations, life-saving skills and drills. And I was thinking, goodness me, I could never have done that. I would never have thought I'd be able to do that. And it just gives you all these characteristics that we take for granted. So sell yourself. When you go to job interviews, tell people you're a cadet, because you never know that person that's interviewing. You could have been a cadet themselves thinking, well, I know this person is disciplined. I know they're going to turn up on time. They're going to be smart. They're going to be polite. You can't teach all of that. It's just what you're automatically learning in the cadet force. It just makes you a better citizen, a better person in general.
You mentioned that some people are like ashamed to say that they're cadets.
I think ashamed is probably a strong word. I don't think they wish to tell people. Yeah, not ashamed, I don't think.
Would you say there's a different view on you in the army being a cadet? Because I know there definitely is a different view on cadets outside, like just in general. Like some people are like, oh my God, like that's so great that you do that. But would you say there's a different view on you in the army?
We're all part of the same family. It sounds really weird. In our Yorkshire Regiment magazine, we've got the 3 battalions: the first battalion, the 2nd battalion, and the 4th battalion, Yorkshire Regiment, which was a reserve unit. But then on the back of the magazine, we've got all the cadet forces. So we are one big family. So we treat each other exactly the same. And if people are needing help and assistance, the Army is more than happy to step in and do bits what they can do to help cadet organisations. I see it all the time. And we've got amazing people that are in really high position jobs in the Army. They're doing amazing work in the cadet force. I speak to an officer most times. And it's absolutely fantastic. And the level of commitment is fantastic. So, yeah, I think we're just all one big family, which is really good. And that's a really good ethos, I think.
How would you describe your leadership style? Like, what would you say about your leadership style that got you to where you are today?
It's the ability to listen, communications, you know what I mean? And it's taking a little bit from somebody all the time. I like how you do this. I don't like how you do that. And it's being yourself. You've got to be yourself when it comes to leadership. Do not emulate somebody else's style, or I want to be just like them. Take good bits, bad points, ugly points, and bring it into your leadership style. And don't be afraid to fail. Absolutely don't be afraid. And just be yourself.
I'm not quite the RSM, so I have nowhere near his experience. But I think leadership style is very... People try and think there's set styles. I think really you need to look at it like fundamental principles and skills, and taking those skills. There's no specific style to leadership. There's leadership, there's good leadership and there's bad leadership. But although it might appear and come across differently, I wouldn't say there's styles that one person has a set style, because that style will change from different people. Would you agree, RSM? Would you say?
Yeah, it does. It changes from different people to the different roles you're in. Some of the roles that you are maybe very transactional roles. You've got to direct people all the time. So your leadership style there is more, you will do this. And it's the roles and capabilities that you do, especially in the armed forces. There's lots of really good jobs. But it's just being yourself, I think. Just being yourself, being polite, be pleasant, and just be really good, just all round, a good all-round egg, basically, is what people say, a good egg. Just be good at a little bit and everything.
Any more questions?
Cool.
No?
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure. And thank you very much for joining me this evening on a virtual drill night. Absolutely inspired all the time. And it's inspirational. And it's the only difference between me and the cadets sat here is 28 years' time. We're doing the same stuff, receiving the same information, being better. Just, it's completely life-changing. You will not realise how important and how good cadets is until you step out into that wider world. But so thank you very much for this evening. It's much appreciated.
Well, thank you, RSM. I'd like to say thank you to all cadets. You've been outstanding and amazing. So thank you.
Brilliant. So it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for what you're doing as an adult volunteer. For me, one of my biggest role models was Mr. Temple, my detachment commander. and he's absolutely fantastic. So you are absolutely, and I imagine these young cadets here will go on to do good and great things, whether it's in Cadet Force or in the Army or wherever they do. They will always remember someone like you, sir, that is inspirational and wanting the best out of their cadets. I guarantee when they're 45 or 42 as I am, they'll still remember who you are. So thank you for what you're doing as an adult volunteer. A good adult volunteer will automatically create amazing cadets.
Well, we've got amazing cadets, and I want to attribute to myself, Sarge Hellard in the discussion as well, but all our staff. I can't explain how proud we all are of you, especially for this tonight.